Okay. Hi, Jess. How are you today?
I'm okay. How are you, Miss Melanie?
I'm great, but what's been going on with you?
Oh, well, I've been really depressed.
Oh.
I broke up with my boyfriend recently, and he was
Hmm.
just awful and just being really ridiculous. And I was getting really frustrated. We got in a huge fight, and we broke up. I've just been feeling really, really, really down
Oh.
and kind of I knew some girls that I know from school. There's like that big campaign that says she writes love on her arms.
Mm-hmm.
But these girls at school, were talking about like cutting themselves to like help relieve some of the stress and sadness. So that's what I've been doing. You can see here.
Oh, I can see. How long have you been doing that?
Oh, just like since we broke up, which was like a week and a half
A
ago.
week and a half.
Yeah, and I've just had a lot of thoughts of like wanting to die.
Oh.
Just like killing myself because I just feel like, he was everything to me and nobody understands how awful I feel. And, I just feel like I don't want to go on without him. I know it's crazy, but I
No,
just,
that's not crazy, honey. I know that this was a really important relationship, but I'm worried about this thoughts of killing yourself. Can we talk more about that for a minute?
yeah, sure.
Okay. So when you have thoughts of killing yourself, do you have thoughts of ways to do it?
Yeah, I have, the antidepressants and
Mm-hmm.
that you gave me, the
Yeah.
Prozac. And I've just been like, because I have my own bathroom in my room. And
Okay.
I was just thinking there, I was like, I wouldn't want to like shoot myself or anything because that's messy and awful, but or like hang myself or anything that's like really gory. But I just thought maybe
Okay.
if I just took all my meds, I would just go to sleep. But I
Oh,
don't think I would ever actually do that. I mean, like, I've never tried anything like that before either. Never
okay.
wanted to do anything like that. I've never, gone to the hospital or anything like that. It just is like a thought.
Yeah. Well, it's I understand what you're saying, that it's a thought and you would never do it, but it still worries me because you do have these meds available and you might have a tough time. Let me kind of back up a minute. When you're cutting yourself, did you find that that was helpful? Did it help you feel
Yeah,
better?
I mean, it hurt.
Yeah.
I didn't like that part. And I'm like now I'm worried it's gonna leave like a scar because that was kind of dumb. But I did feel because I was really sad, I was crying, I was angry, and when I did it, I did feel like it was like releasing and like I
Yeah.
was feeling more calm. I don't think I really want to do too much of that either, though, because it was just like
Good.
funny, and then I had to cover it because I didn't want my mom to see it, and so I've been wearing sweaters, and it's like 90 degrees. Um,
Well, I hear what you're saying, that you're trying these things, but you don't want to do the cutting because it hurts and it's going to leave some permanent scars. And I think that if you were to overdose, one, it probably wouldn't be pleasant. I don't think it would just be falling asleep, and it would be permanent, you know. So I think maybe what we need to work on is a way to help you through this that's not going to leave a permanent scar or have you die. And I understand what you're saying, that you don't think you'd actually do it. But I think what we really have to be worried about is your safety. Because I know he was so important to you. You've been talking about him. Um,
it was awesome.
yeah, he was awesome. But you know what? At some point, it would be wonderful if you realized he's awesome, you're awesome, there's other awesome guys out there, you know?
Yeah.
So when someone is in a position like you are, where you're going through a really rough time, we have to kind of do some reinforcements here, okay? Um, do you remember when we first met and we talked about the rules of therapy? Do you remember those?
Yeah, but like the private stuff, and I could tell you things, and it doesn't leave the room.
Yeah.
stuff like that. And we don't have to tell my mom or anybody else unless I want to, except if I was like hurting myself or hurting someone else.
Yeah, so we kind of went into that area of the possibility of hurting yourself, or well, you kind of have been hurting yourself because you've been cutting, um, but are hurting other people. And you do an awesome job in therapy. You really have done a lot of work, and I know it's been really hard. But I think we need to get some extra help. And one thing I think that's important is to let your mom know what's going on. Now, do you remember when we talked about confidentiality and I said, you can tell anybody in the world what we talk about, but I can't unless I have your permission, except if it hurts you or somebody else. So I think we need to take a minute and talk about what that would mean about talking to your mom. Um, So I'll tell you what I'm thinking, and you remember the other rule of therapy? If I make a guess and I'm wrong, you tell me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make a guess, and if it's wrong, you tell me. Um, I think maybe it's time we need to tell your mom that you've been having these thoughts, and we need her to help. And one thing maybe is for her just temporarily till you're feeling stronger to keep an eye on your medications. Maybe she can hold them for you and give them to you, when you take them each day.
Okay. I mean, I'm worried a little bit that she'll be mad and maybe just think that I'm putting more work on her because she works a lot and she gets stressed a lot. But I mean, usually when my mom knows that something's serious, she supports me. So
Yeah.
we can do that.
Yeah. It's a little more work on her part, but I think that if we asked her to rank what work she likes best, the taking care of you is probably the one she likes best. It's the hardest. And I know that sometimes you can each get on each other's nerves, but I know you've told me before that even though sometimes you just can't stand her, you still love her. And I have the feeling she feels the same way about you.
True.
Um, Another thing that we might want to do is we see each other every other week. We may want to increase that a little bit because right now you're kind of in a crisis. Would you be willing to increase the frequency of the times we meet?
Yeah, I like coming in to see you, so that'd be awesome if we could talk about it. Because I feel like you're really the only person that really understands and listens when I talk about stuff. Everybody else just thinks I'm being dramatic or need
Hmm.
to let it go. So yeah, that'd be good.
Well, thank you. I like meeting with you.
Thanks.
You're one of my favorite people. So
Thanks.
we need to keep you around a little longer, a lot longer. Um, the other thing is, do you remember when we talked about therapy being hard and about some days being hard, and we talked about your emergency hard day kit? Remember you had that box that you bought, I can't remember where you bought it. You said it was a real pretty fancy box, and you have your sweats in there that you like, and you have your candle that you like, and
Yeah, from
I
Bell's. Yeah, from Bell's. Yeah.
oh, okay, and I don't know if you still have your emergency chocolate bar. That needs to be replenished.
I've eaten that one.
And talk to your mom and get another.
Yeah.
So you may need to do some extra pampering of yourself. You
Okay.
know. Are you still writing in your journal to kind of get some of these thoughts and feelings out?
Yeah, here and there. I'm mostly just kind of drawing. Like I haven't really wanted to write, but just kind of drawing pictures of how I feel. A lot of dark stuff, but I mean it
Great.
helps. Yeah.
That's great. Have you ever heard the saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's great. And I know you're a very talented artist.
Thanks.
So
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing that, and then like it seems silly, but I have like this stuffed Care Bear, and I've been throwing it at the wall over and over and over
I love it. I love it. So have you had some anger that you've had to deal with? I bet.
Yeah, just really mad at him for dumping me and feeling like I have to go back to school now. And, he's talking to the girls acting like we don't exist. And, and people I feel like are talking about and gossiping and making me feel, the brunt of their jokes. So,
Ooh, that's tough.
yeah.
Well, that's another one of those cases of you can't control what they do, you can control what you do. I'm glad that you're throwing the Care Bear around because it shows that you're remembering with the anger is anger's energy, you have to get it out and never hurt anything harder than you are, or never hit anything harder than you are. Um, so that seems like a good, safe way to get rid of some of those angers. Um, and you mentioned feeling depressed. Have you been um, turning that energy or that anger energy into any kind of exercise? I know you used to like to go running.
No, I haven't really done anything like that. I've just been mostly staying in my room,
Okay.
laying around.
And sometimes you need to do that. You need to kind of like spend some time with yourself. But you might want to think about doing that too, because not only does that get the energy out, but it gives you those wonderful endorphins.
Okay.
And do you remember what endorphins are?
So the things that make you feel good in your head.
Things that make you feel good in your head. And did you know that until you're up to running around, I read somewhere that chocolate is so important because it releases the same endorphins as being in love.
Huh.
So until you can realize that this guy, I'm going to be honest with you, he wasn't worth it. He wasn't worthy of you. I know he was important. I know you were in love with him, but you can, have a little chocolate, get those endorphins, take care of yourself, you know, and then when you're ready, we can talk more about it and we can talk about, how you can get past this because think of all those great things you got. Tell me a couple things you got coming up that we can look forward to.
Well, I've got the volleyball tournament, and there's a dance, my friend's birthday, and I'm just doing stuff around the house with mom and dad too. So,
Well,
you know,
that's great. I think, you had told me before that you were spending so much time with him, you didn't have time for your friends. And remember that time you had to choose between going out to dinner with your family and going to the movies with him, and you thought you better go to the movies with him because you didn't want him to get mad.
that is true. Yeah.
So you may find that you've had some more time for some other things, and we can just let him realize what a big mistake he's made.
Yeah, he was taking a lot of my time. You're right. Like
Yeah.
I kept just thinking about him all the time when he wasn't around. I was always texting or wondering what he was doing, so I wasn't really paying attention to anything else. And my girlfriends were saying that. They were like, "Oh, finally you can hang out again and do stuff and go to the movies and things like that where I wasn't before."
Good. So there might be some positives in this, but you got to work through it. So would you be okay if we had your mom come in? Do you feel comfortable telling her what's going on?
Yeah, I feel comfortable with that. That'd be good.
Are you about good with taking off your sweater so you don't have to wear a sweater in 95-degree heat?
Yeah, she's okay with it. Like if she doesn't get really upset, that'd be fine.
Maybe we'll talk to her about getting a little bio oil. Do you know what that is?
Mm-mm.
Bio oil is it's literally that oil and people use it for scars. And I think if you put that
Oh,
on the places that you cut, that may prevent some scarring.
okay.
So we may do that. And then we'll do some literal bio oil and some figurative bio oil to take away the scarring of this really good relationship that you had that just came to an end.
Okay.
Okay, let's get your mom in here and we can talk to her.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, thank you. End scene.
I didn't know what to say. I was like, I'm supposed to be 17.
I
17-year-olds
know.
don't have a lot of insight. I'm like, okay, I
I
guess.
know. I know, it's hard to remember being 17. I'm sorry, I have
It's
crud
okay.
on my screen I was trying to get rid of. Um, yeah, it's sometimes it's hard to make up these patients.
Yeah, especially like a teenager, because I'm just thinking they're just like whatever. And I don't see them anyway, so I have nothing to like relate to. I just have my own kid experience.
I think I told you I had one client, and she spent the first 10 minutes of every session telling me how therapy was a bunch of bull and I was not going to help her and all this stuff. And then she'd talk, and then when she left, she'd say, "Well, that didn't help at all, and I'm wasting my time with you. See you next week."
Oh wow. I
Yeah,
have
go
a
figure, kid.
20 one of my youngest patients, I think she might be 23 or 24. She's very angry.
Yeah.
And she comes in all the time, and every time she's like, "Well, I didn't know, my appointment." She's always late. Like sometimes it has to be rescheduled. And she just gets really mad. So she starts with that, and well, nothing's going right, and I can't keep a job because I can't get along. And I'm like, "So, do you want to? No, therapy sucks. I'm not doing that, And then she's like, "This medicine doesn't work," and that, and then she's like, "Okay, when do you want to see me again?" Okay.
She's
So
getting stuff out of it. Just feels better for her to pretend she's not.
yeah, and she actually canceled her therapy appointment, which makes me a little worried, but she didn't cancel mine. So I'm like, but she told me she hated the medicine because it slowed her down. She's bipolar 1, manic, very manic. And she was like, "Well, I feel better that, like I can concentrate." She goes, "But I can't work 3 jobs anymore." I
They
was like,
need to lose the mania. They really do. And it's hard to get them to see that, okay, the mania may be working for you, but then when you crash, you really crash.
yeah, and what's unfortunate is, especially with the younger ones, it's harder because it almost feel like sometimes society also endorses that. You're just young, you have lots of energy. It's okay to do things like that. It's okay to stay up all night, and because
Right.
that's what you do when you're young. They don't realize that it's not just that. I mean, this is a mental illness, and she's suffering. So
Yeah.
too bad. But all right, you ready?
Okay.
Okay.
Jessica. Oh, I'm Jessica. Okay.
Hi, Jessica. How are you today?
I'm okay.
Oh no, what's going on? Seems like something's bothering you.
Well, last week Mike broke up with me. He
Oh
didn't even
no.
tell me why. He just dumped me. And I gave him 3 of the best months of my life. I did everything with him. Remember, I gave up track for him because he didn't want me to do that. And I didn't I didn't go on that trip with my friends because he didn't want me to. And I did everything for him, and I just loved him. And he just texted me. He just sent me a text that said, "Oh, well, it's over." And that was it. And now I have to go to school. And he's in all my classes because remember, he made me change my classes so I'd be in with him. And I sit next to him in all the classes. And he's just flirting with all these other girls. And I'm just sitting there. And I'm just so mad. And I'm upset. And it's my life is just it's just awful. I feel like it's over. It's my life is over because I gave my whole life to him.
Yeah, I can't imagine how you must be feeling right now. I mean, you did. You've been telling me all this time that we've been meeting about how much time you've been spending with Mike and how you've coordinated everything.
Yeah.
This is
We
very,
even dressed alike.
yeah.
He would call me in the morning and say, "I'm wearing this color and you need to wear this color." So I did. And now, I mean, my friends were mad at me. And the only person I could talk to, I did get to talk to Trisha because Trisha, she's my best friend, and she said she's still going to meet with my best friend. And I was talking about how upset I was. And she told me that what a lot of people do when they're upset is, well, I don't know if I should tell you because I haven't told anybody else. Okay, you're pretty cool, so I'll tell you. she said what you do is you go and buy one of those razors and you take the razor blade out. And can you see here?
Oh,
Can you
yeah.
see that I made those cuts? And she said, what you do is you cut and you just watch the blood. And that was supposed to help. And I don't know, I still feel bad. And now I've got these scars and I don't want anyone to see, and especially not my mom. So I was thinking what else I could do. And remember when you told me that one of the things might help with my depression was the Paxil?
Mhm.
And we just got it refilled last week, and I have it in my bathroom. And the other day, I thought, well, I could just take my Paxil and just like take all of it, not to die, not to die. I wouldn't do it to die, but if I took all of it and like left a note, like saying that I was doing this because of Mike, because my life is over. And, like if I did it at the right time and my mom found me, then I could go to the emergency room and maybe put it on Instagram. And then maybe Mike would see, what happened. But I'm not sure if it's a good plan because I have like almost a whole bottle, but I wouldn't want to actually kill myself, but I want to kind of like just do the overdose. I mean, do you think that would work?
Well, just I'm just very concerned with what you're telling me right now. I don't think anything that you do to put yourself at risk physically or mentally is a good solution to any problem. If you took too much of your medicine, I mean, there's a very real possibility that you could die from the overdose. And I would, very concerned with what you're telling me because I wouldn't want anything to happen to you. We've been meeting each other for a while now, and I care about you. I'm sure your mother and your family cares about you. And what you've been telling me is a bit concerning to me.
Well, I don't actually want to die. It's just like when I came home and I told my mom that Mike dumped me, she said, well, that's good because you shouldn't get too serious anyway, because I'm still in high school. And anyone I talk to, they're like, well, Mike wasn't that great for you. And it's like nobody understands how important he is to me. I mean, it was 3 months, 3 whole months of my life. And
You
I,
put
I
a lot
just want
into
people to
that.
understand how hurt I am.
You put a lot into this relationship, and you love him a lot. Yeah. And sometimes people in their meaning well to try and comfort you and make you feel better, it comes off sometimes unintentionally as if they don't care or they're discounting your feelings. I'm sure that your best friend and your mom, they care a lot about you, and they sometimes when we change the way we have relationships with people, when we're upset or very emotional, sometimes people don't have the tools in their toolbox to help you. They don't know how to react when you're sad. They want to help, but they don't know the things to say or the right things to do. And so sometimes in their meaning well, the things that they do and say come out kind of wrong and make you feel, like they didn't really validate how you were feeling. But you and I have been meeting for a while, and I know that you loved him very much. I mean, you went to lots of degrees to spend every minute with him, and like you said, matching the clothes and making a lot of effort. And you both are very good people, and you had a wonderful 3 months.
Yeah.
However, he's not the only fish in the sea. There's over 7 billion humans. That doesn't mean that there'll never be another Mike or someone that even will treat you even better.
Do you think?
Of
'Cause,
course.
he was my first boyfriend. I mean, and you're the only one who understands how important he was to me. But I mean, there is a guy in one of my classes that I think is really cute, but
What about think about this for a minute, Jess. When we talked about how you kind of gone away from your friends and how you're not doing the activities that you used to love anymore, do you ever think that maybe you kind of miss those things, like to get back to spending more time with your friends and maybe doing a little bit more of the activities that you used to love?
I would, because like they all got tickets to this concert that I really wanted to go to, but Mike doesn't like the band. So I didn't get tickets. Well, it's in 2 weeks, so everybody's going but me. But everybody was also going to go to Renaissance Festival. Do you know what a Renaissance Festival is?
Yeah.
Which they say is really, really cool. And Mike thought it was stupid. So I was talking to Nancy and Trisha and Ruthie, and they're still going and they wanted me to go. So I'd really like to go. And my mom said I could go because she's really happy that I'm not spending all my time with Mike. But I still kind of in the back of my head think if Mike just knew how important he was, and if I just did some big thing, like I was watching a movie and the girl, did you ever see that movie 13 Reasons Why? It's a show, it was a book and now it's a show. And the girl kills herself and everybody finds out how they were mean to her. And I thought that would be really cool, except for the killing yourself part. So, I mean, part of me still thinks maybe it's a good idea if I just took like half the bottle of meds and ended up, and because like one of my friends broke her leg the other week and she put it on Instagram and she got all these messages and everybody tweeted her and all this stuff. And I thought that would be really great if everybody did that. Like, oh, I'm really sorry this happened and all. Do you think if I did half a bottle, that might work?
Oh, I don't think that's a good idea at all, Jess. I think that's very concerning to me that that you still consider that an option. And think about it this way: if you wanted to feel like you wanted to be heard, maybe we could look at some different options, some healthier options for things that maybe you could share your feelings and put it out there in a way that would be positive. Like you'd mentioned earlier about, the cutting, how that wasn't really a good thing, even though someone had mentioned it. It's kind of the same way with TV shows, or with your friend that broke her leg. Breaking her leg is an awful thing, but it's not going to kill her. It's not going to hurt her in a permanent way. Overdosing on medication, even if you're recovered, could cause permanent brain damage. And so there's,
Really?
yes, it could cause permanent damage. And I'd be very scared and concerned if that were to happen to you. So do you
Okay.
remember when we first met and we were talking about like the rules of therapy? And do
Mhm.
you remember what some of those rules were?
I remember you said that I had confidentiality
Mhm.
and that you couldn't tell anybody what I tell you unless something happened, unless it was going to hurt me or someone else. And then you couldn't. Does cutting myself count as hurting myself? It did hurt.
And also the thoughts of wanting to hurt yourself with the overdose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
who do you have to tell? Do you have to tell my mom?
Well, I think it would be a good idea that you and I share together and let your mom know today so that we can do some safety planning to keep you safe. Because right now, I think the sadness is making you have some thoughts and making some decisions that aren't quite clear. And that can happen sometimes when we get very depressed or when we lose someone, either in a relationship or when someone passes away, and we get so sad that sometimes we don't think clearly, we don't make right decisions. So right now I think we're at a very fragile time, and I think it's important that we bring mom in and talk to her and maybe come up with a safety plan so that we can keep you safe while we're working together to get you to feel better. Okay. So a couple other things I was thinking too is, the Instagram posting and the tweeting is really important to you. So maybe we could come up with a plan for some things that you could post that were positive. You ever see those posts, like some pages where they list like the memes or like the quotes? They have those pretty,
Yeah, I like those.
yeah, inspirational that make you feel good and uplifting. There's nothing wrong with, sharing that you're newly broken up and how that makes you feel. So maybe doing some of that journaling or writing and creating your own inspirational quotes that maybe you could help other girls or people going through the same thing. So you could be sharing. Yeah, you could be sharing how you're feeling, and it's kind of raw and emotional, but it's a good way to express yourself while doing positive things where you're helping other people feel uplifted and showing how brave you are in going through this process.
I really like that because I could help somebody. Because, like, when I come and I talk to you, you help me all the time. And I always think I would like to help other people, but I thought, well, nobody would listen to me. But if I could do that, I'd like that because I know other people have breakups and it's really, really hard. And I think that sometimes, parents just don't understand how important this is.
That's right. And it's just like you said that you like the inspirational quote. So if you think about when you see one and how that makes you feel and how positive it helps you feel and kind of gives you that little bit of hope and that little bit of, positive energy. And, that changes your day when you see stuff like that. So in doing that for other people, you might be able to reach out to someone that feels like you do right now, that you could be an inspiration and a positive note for them, while also kind of showing Mike, well, hey, this is how you're making me feel, but I'm going to be strong and I'm going to get through this and I'm going to get through this without you. And I'm going to find the right guy that's meant for me and the guy that's going to let me still go to the concerts and value my wants and needs and become more of a partnership instead of this is what we're going to wear, this is what we're going to do. You kind of lose yourself in relationships like that.
Well, that's probably a good idea because I remember when we were talking before and you said you were kind of concerned because we only did what Mike wanted to do, and you were talking about how it should be more equal and all. So that might be good. And it probably would be really good if Mike saw that I'm just fine without him.
Yeah.
Because I know he just thinks that, like, I'll fall apart and I'll never find anyone else. But if I did, then he would realize what he lost. I think that's a
Absolutely.
good idea.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think just helping yourself feel positive and making it through, and being that inspiration and getting back to all the things you love. And maybe even talking to that cute guy you think is cute and class.
Yeah, I might talk to him because we have an assignment coming up and we have to do reports with another person. So I might just ask him if he wants to be my partner for that.
Good, good. But I think for right now, let's work on getting you safe.
Okay.
Let's work on keeping you safe until we can get you feeling out of the sad cloud and these thoughts pass, okay? So
Okay.
if it's okay with you, you can bring mom in and we don't have to share anything that you don't want to share.
Okay.
Other than I feel that we really have to address a safety plan so we can talk the three of us together if you'd like. I'd like for mom to, the couple of things that I'd like to talk to mom about is, you keep the medicine in the bathroom that you use. And since that has been kind of a plan for you to take them, I'd like mom to have them and to give them to you every day so that I know you're taking the medicine, but you don't have access to them in case you feel like you want to do that. Any other medicines as well, anything in the bathroom that can, anything that you have in access around the house, any kind of Tylenol or over-the-counter Motrin, any of things like that. I would like mom to help you catch those up and keep them under her control until you start to feel better. Okay.
Okay. She'll probably do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I would like for you to also talk to her about the cutting. Now, I know you're not currently doing that, but I think it's important to let mom know so that she can kind of understand how serious this has been for you. As
Yeah, 'cause
we,
she doesn't know about that because I've been wearing long sleeves and all.
which isn't
So
comfortable in the hot weather.
No, it's not. It's not. I had to take another shirt in my backpack and change, and everybody would say, "Why are you wearing long sleeves? You're crazy." And I couldn't really tell them why. It was because if I told them, they'd think I was really crazy. So, do you think I'm really crazy though?
No, not at all. I think you're going through a really, really sad time due to the
Yeah.
breakup, and I think you've gotten very, very depressed. And sometimes when people get really depressed, they get thoughts of wanting to hurt themselves. So it's important that we do something and we closely monitor that. So I'd also like to start seeing you weekly. If that's okay with you. I'd like to have you come in and
Yeah,
see me every week so we can check in a little bit more.
I'd
The
like.
other thing is I want to make sure that your Paxil doesn't make those feelings continue. So if you still have those suicidal feelings, it's really important that you tell me about that, because sometimes an antidepressants in people under 24, it can actually increase thoughts of suicide. So,
Really?
right, yes. So I am going to make an adjustment to it today, and I want to increase it to help you a little more with the depression and the anxiety since you've been on it for about a month. But
Okay.
we're going to really carefully monitor that. And if you start to have worsening of feelings of wanting to hurt yourself, you've got to let mom know, or got to call me and let me know so that we can back down off the medication increase. Okay.
Okay. I can do that because your the number for this place is in my favorites.
Oh, good, good. So you can call anytime and have the after hours. What are some other things that you can do if you start to feel like you're going to hurt yourself or hurt anyone else?
Well, I guess I could talk to my friends because they're real good. I guess I could talk to my mom. I don't think I could really talk to my dad, but I could talk to my mom. Um, oh, and you gave me those numbers. Remember, you gave me the emergency numbers that you could call and just talk to somebody?
Yeah.
Like one was something like Teen Help, and I have those in my thing too. So I could call them. Or I remember we talked about journaling, and that really helps. So I could journal too.
Yes, that's great. And you could even look for, if you're making those inspirational quotes, use some of your quotes from your journaling.
I could.
Yeah.
I could.
And then
Okay.
the other option you also have too is if anything were to get really, really bad, you could always go to the hospital. Okay.
Okay.
So do you think we could bring mom in here and talk with her? Okay.
Yeah.
And if you start to feel uncomfortable about any subjects, you just tell me. Okay. You just say,
Okay.
talk about something else, or I don't really want to, however you feel comfortable, you can pinch my arm, or, put the hand up like this, whatever you'd like to do if you feel that we're going into some
I'll go
territory.
with that.
Shared. Yeah, it would be great. Okay.
Okay.
All
I'll go
right.
get them.
Okay. Sounds good.
That was really good.
I didn't even know what to say. I was
That
like,
was really good. I liked when you were talking about the Instagram and all. I was trying to think what kids do because I know they don't really do Facebook, and I don't understand anything they do because I'm like, do they talk to you on Instagram?
it's
But
just like posting a bunch of pictures mostly, and you can write little quotes, and they hashtag words. So like, say if you take a picture of a flower, then they would put a hashtag, and it says flower, hashtag peony, hashtag down, whatever they want to, like, it's basically their way of wording like a commentary on the picture.